got some land down south. Changed his name to a name the birds could pronounce. And only the wild ones give you something and never want it back. Only the riot and the rush are the warm night air. Only the wild ones are the ones you can never catch. The stars are up now, no place to go but everywhere.
A little intimidated to tell my story because I think it's like kind of hard to talk about yourself or to know where to start. But I'm also really excited because Dopey is just like a huge part of my story and literally the reason that I'm sober. So it's like exciting to like just to talk with you guys because it feels like I'm like talking to people who are like already on my side. So I guess I'll just start from like the beginning. Does everyone say that? I don't know. It feels like that's something everyone would say. But like, so growing up was a little chaotic for me. I think that that's kind of a shared experience. A lot of people who have addiction problems moved around a lot as a kid, and I was like had some truancy problems in high school, but like didn't really start to drink or use, but like was just always in trouble. And then like always felt different, always just felt like I like, didn't belong. And then that kind of I actually got married super young. When I was 18, I got married to this guy who was in the military. I hated my situation and my home life was like a little bit rough. My dad was pretty psychologically abusive and pretty mentally ill. So that was just like, I felt like terrorized every day growing up. And I was really, really eager to get out of that. So I got married to this guy who was in the military so that we could like move away. And we were super religious at the time. My parents went through this like born again Christian phase. And so we didn't even kiss before our wedding day. So I got married to this guy who I had met maybe like a couple, like, I don't know, like I hung out with him maybe like 10 times ever and then got married. And then was in this like super religious marriage at like 18. And I already had like a lot of behavioral issues and felt kind of rebellious and different. But then being in this like super conservative Southern Baptist Christian marriage was just like a fucking mess and did not work out. So then I was like, I stayed married for 4 years, and then I was 22 and divorced and had like a lot of guilt and shame about the way the marriage ended. I just like couldn't hack it, and I kept moving out, and like I don't know, I just felt really guilty about not being able to be like this super Christian wife. And I like in that process I started like, I lived in Hawaii and I lived next to all these cheerleaders, and I started selling Molly to like all the cheerleaders next door and like going out and partying all the time. And he was just like, where is this like wife that I met? And I was just like, oh, I don't know. And then when I got divorced, I was like really relieved because I really identified with being like this bad girl because I got in trouble all the time in high school. And I was like, finally I can just be like myself. And and then I got into dancing. So that was kind of where substance abuse really came in the picture for me. I felt like super alone in the world, and I felt like I could just be free to dance and drink and use cocaine and just be like the bad girl that I always wanted to be. Like that kind of started the chapter of the next 5 or 6 years of my life, which was just like nightlife and doing cocaine literally every day and drinking. And that was like, it was super fun at first. And then over time, it became a lot less fun because I couldn't accomplish anything else or do anything else. And it became super isolating. And like I kind of thought that I had found my people, right? Because there was like all these other girls who were like doing whatever they wanted and making fast cash and doing drugs. And that's what I really wanted to do. Like I really wanted to just have money and stay fucked up and not really have to participate in society. Like I thought that was like goals to me. And I thought like, and I also thought that was like gonna last forever. Like I thought uh that like I could just be, because like for me it's not just like drugs and like counterculture, like yeah, for me it's not just drugs. A lot of it was just like counterculture. Like I didn't want to like hang out with people in society. Like I didn't want to have friends that had normal jobs. Like I thought that was like really dorky. And I like only wanted to have friends who were like, I don't know, doing something that was considered seedy. Or I just like didn't like, I thought that the worst insult at that time in my life was that someone could like, I was like, oh, that person would like is from the suburbs, or like they have like a day job. Like I thought that was a terrible insult, and I just wanted to like be a part of this other thing where like you could just do drugs. And like for me, I also really wanted to be a jerk. Like I just wanted to be an asshole and say like fuck everybody, because I felt like my growing up life and like not fitting in, like I think my reaction to like not fitting in and kind of being rejected by like my religious husband and not fitting in high school, I don't know, I mentioned I got in trouble, but I didn't mention that I like did not fit in, was just to be like egotistical and get like a chip on my shoulder and be like, you know what, fuck everybody, i'm I'm a stripper now, I do cocaine. And you know like how you do cocaine, you just think you're cooler than everybody, it's just like part of it. So yeah, that's where I was at. And I wanted to do that forever. And it just took me to a super dark place where like I was just doing cocaine and drinking by myself all the time, which I'm sure like anybody could probably guess that was where that was going for that story. And then I went to rehab the first time, and um, that kind of stuck for a couple months. But my boyfriend and I at the time were growing weed in Oregon, in addition to dancing. So I kind of like crept back into substance abuse with weed. And then I just felt like super uncomfortable. Like I felt super uncomfortable just like in my life. And I didn't really have that many friends outside of dancing. So I moved, and I guess I thought the best place to resume my life would be in Las Vegas. So I moved to Las Vegas, and then like somewhere in this time, like I started to feel like real invincible being sober because I had all this energy and I got really fit. So I like got a place in Vegas, but I didn't want to let go of my place in Oregon. And then I also got a third place in Hawaii and was just like traveling between the places like every week, like trying to like outrun myself or something. And just like, and I couldn't really maintain that without dancing. So I started dancing again, and started drinking and doing drugs again. And like it became I don't know why I didn't think of it. I thought that like if I danced in 3 places then I would make 3 times the amount of money, but I didn't. So that became super unsustainable, and I lost I like had to get rid of all my extra apartments. And then I was just in Vegas, and that's where things started getting super dark for me. I broke up with my boyfriend. I was only in Vegas. I sold my car, and then I was just like there, and I had this like super bad, super toxic relationship with this guy, that like I think really changed me for a long time. And that's when I started drinking every day, probably, or like really close to every day. And like I was at this point I was probably about 26 or 27. And it's kind of like where my life went from being like, oh, I'm just traveling around, like trying to keep things going, to just like, I don't know, just like drinking constantly. There was parties at my house that would last for 3 entire days. And I just felt like I was just like kind of trying to like keep my head above water. Like it was this constant state of being depressed, and then this guy making me feel like absolutely crazy because it was just like such an abusive relationship, and I just like kind of lost who I was for a long time. And then just like this really depressing, like I started like feeling so overwhelmed in my own head by situations that would happen because I'd like isolated myself from like all friends, and I started cutting like really badly, really severely, and I ended up in the hospital like twice. And then by the end of all of this whole stint in Vegas, I was with, I ended up with this guy who I thought was like a huge improvement from this abusive boyfriend I had. And he was, I thought he was a model. He told me he was a model, but he ended up being a gigolo, like on this cheesy HBO show, Gigolos. And I found out because all of his friends were always coming by and they were all gigolos. And I thought for some reason this guy was going to be like the solution to my problems, but he was a total grifter and stole a lot of money from me, like all of the rest of my money. So then I was broke and depressed and cutting. And I don't know, I got to the point where I was so depressed there. I actually had to ask my dad for help, which was really hard for me because my dad is like, there's just like a lot of it's just with everything that's happened with him and my family, he was like the last person that I wanted to call for help, but I was super desperate. So I called him and I moved again, and I moved to Austin. And that's when I got out of dancing. And I thought that this was going to be like my big life change. Like this was going to be it. This was going to be like me starting over. And I got a job working as an assistant. I started my own little assistant company, but like the drinking just never really stopped. Like I did it for fun. I did it to socialize with people because I felt uncomfortable. Like I still wasn't overthinking that like normal people were somehow different from me and that I was like, I don't know, somehow like more a grimier subset of people. And so like to socialize or to have fun, I drank like when I was sad, like I just drank all the time. Like it's weird, like I think about that and I'm smiling because I'm like, wow, that like some sick part of me is still like, wow, that would still be fun. And then I remember like, no, when you do that you like want to die. And it's just, I don't know, thinking out loud here. But so I was in Austin, and then like the cocaine transitioned into Adderall and Vyvanse. And I loved that because instead of having to maintain like being high all the time, I was just like good. And then that canceled out the alcohol a little bit. Like when I say canceled out, like I just felt like I could drink more. And I kind of had like a string of little jobs that I couldn't really keep. Like I could never keep a job working for someone else. I always had to be self-employed in some capacity. And then eventually one of my friends who I knew in Texas, he was manufacturing steroids. And this is kind of like the last year of my drinking and drugs. He was manufacturing steroids and said he was leaving his wife and that he needed help with his business. So I was happy to have the opportunity to be making a lot of cash again, and I got in on that. And that started like the last year of my drinking and using, which was just like and I also got arrested for drugs at some point during, like right before this. I got arrested in 2019 for possession. And with my like assistant company, I always had shady little errands, like just moving drugs around for people, or like it was just like always pretty gray area of like assistant stuff and just like low level crime. But that suited me. So yeah, like I was manufacturing steroids, and then this guy's wife that he said he was apart from, I don't think they were super apart because she would like show up at where we were making stuff and just like act super crazy and threaten us, and it just got super stressful. Throughout all this, I gained like 30 or 40 pounds, and I was just drinking and making steroids like every day, like, and like I just got so mentally like fucked. Like I would have my friends come from other states and visit me, and like none, and it was just like none of my friends had normal jobs. Not that that matters at all, but like I just like look back and I think about the time that we spent, and it was just like this empty apartment, like with like vials of testosterone or like tren or like just pills and stuff on top of like storage buckets, and it was just like such a mess. And just like the stress of like this crazy ex-woman always threatening to turn us into the FBI, and just drinking all the time, and like still having all this trauma from all these like bad relationships, and probably a failed marriage, and like probably childhood. I don't know. Like, I don't know how that works, but it definitely adds up. And also just like switching jobs all the time. Like, I never had a plan. I just had like all these different things that came up that seemed like good ideas at the time, but it was like all really steamrolled into like a really not fun, stressful experience. And I know there's, I don't know, there's like a lot of crowd legs in my story, because also during this time I was just like not wanting, I didn't really like to eat like at all. I had like completely replaced, this last year I completely replaced food with just like margaritas and malt liquor. I was like a huge fan of Mad Dog 2020, and sometimes I would class it up by putting some soda water in there. And that, and then I would just like eat crab legs because it was the only thing that I thought was appetizing. And in my mind I had decided somehow that like crab legs, like the protein would like even out the sugar. I don't know, it just got all like, so I was eating crab legs in my car, like stinking it up. And I don't know, my life just got really dark. I stopped being able to get along with my friends. All the extra time that I did have, I just like would spend getting in fights with my friends and staying drunk and like not showering for days at a time. And I was kind of looking for a way out, but like I was just completely out of ideas. I was like, I've moved, I've lived in all these different places, I've grown weed, I've danced, I tried getting a normal job, I can't keep one. I'm manufacturing back alley steroids now, and I'm like still wasn't happy. And so like a guy kind of came into my life from the past who was a great guy, who was super, super funny and super cool. And he like had always really been into me. And he was like, Charlotte, like just marry me. I mean, he was like serious. He was serious. I don't think he didn't know like that my life would turn into complete shit, but he was like, just marry me and you don't have to work and I'll just take care of you. You can just be my wife and raise my kid, and like we'll have kids, and you don't have to like stress out anymore. And I was like, hell yeah, that's a great idea. But like, I don't think he realized I was drinking like multiple bottles of wine and liquor, like all day, every day, like trash all over my room all the time, completely run out of friends because I was just getting in white trash arguments with them constantly. Like, he didn't know that like my life was completely crumbling. And I don't think I had really decided. I think I knew that my life was completely crumbling. And I was like, yes, thank you. Like, oh, he's going to save me. This is great. And I went to go hang out with him. He was long distance. So I went to go hang out with him for like a couple days in California, and was drinking the whole time. And like, because I had all access to all these hormones, I got on this, like, they started taking these pills that make you more likely to get pregnant, and they also make you kind of crazy. And like, this is just like how my mind worked at the time. I was like, we'll just get pregnant as soon as possible so I can like really just give up on the rest of my life and like move here. And like, he was in on it, he was down, he was like, we'll get married next week. And I was like, yes. And like, I thought all these things were like great ideas. Like, my idea of harm reduction was eating crab legs for food because of the protein, regardless of the fact that I was spending like $80 a day on crab legs and just leaving the shells in my car. And like taking horse glutathione, like injecting it, because I thought it's like the mother of all antioxidants. And I was like, this is normal, I'll just inject it since I can't get any vitamins through my stomach, because the only thing I like to consume really is liquor. And taking like B12 intramuscularly, like I just thought that I was like the home pharmacist of all home pharmacists. Like, I thought I had it. It's just so gross. Like, I don't know. I look back and just think about like empty Mad Dog bottles and like tiny needles everywhere. I don't know. So this guy, I like was on a lot of amphetamines and drinking constantly, and also now on these crazy hormone pills to try and like speed up the pregnancy process for like just because I don't know, I just thought this was like how to live, I guess. And I went through we had been drinking all day, like margaritas, and he wasn't really a drinker, but like I don't know, I think we were like celebrating how excited we were to start this great life together. And I went through his phone and he was like he told me to open something on Instagram because we were going to invite his friend to something. And I saw that he was inviting other girls to lunch. And I just like, I just had it. Like, I was like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that he was hitting all these other girls, but I was just like, okay, this isn't going to work either. And I just kind of snapped. Like, I had gotten in a fight with my best friend before. I was just at my wit's end. I had like no more ideas for work. I had no more ideas for like what the rest of my life was going to be. And I decided I was just going to try and end it all. So I took like 20 Adderall, like 20 milligram extended release. And I didn't know, but now I know that it's actually really hard to kill yourself with amphetamines. And I also took like 30 Klonopin and just, I don't know, made this huge scene and cussed this guy out. And I don't know, I think there was like a pretty weak attempt at trying to like choke myself out with a belt too. Like just really psychotic shit. And I was also on probation, so thank God this dude didn't call the police on me for going completely fucking insane in his house. But yeah, I woke up the next morning like nothing happened. I guess the drugs kind of canceled each other out. And yeah, I mean, I was just completely broken, like completely worn out from living this life of just, I don't know, trying to like never be present, trying to stay fucked up all the time. And like, I was literally out of ideas. I don't even think this was my first suicide attempt. Like, I just like felt like I had tried everything I could think of, and that like even dying like wasn't working out for me. So yeah, I went home. Actually went to a friend's house for a couple of days before I was ready to go home. And then I went home and I guess you could say try and recoup, but I don't know like what I was really trying to accomplish. I just didn't really know what to do with myself. I had a falling out with the steroid guy, and yeah, so I've been listening to Dopey on my drives to and from work, and I knew that they had given out a scholarship before. So I reached out to Dave, and he asked if I would do anything to get sober. And I said yes. He didn't get my email. There was miscommunication. But long story short, we got here, which is like so amazing. So he was able to get a scholarship to me to Turnbridge, which is a long-term treatment facility here. And like my life isn't super, I don't really have like a whole lot to say about it now, but it's been almost 11 months that I'll have sober. And to me, that's a miracle because I never was able to string together like a solid 30 days outside of rehab before that. I still don't have like a super clear vision for what I want my life to look like, but just the fact that I even have a life right now and that I have like options for the future, that I'm not I don't live every day in fear. I have a job. I work cooking at the rehab, and like I love that. Like I love that I have a job that I can hold down. And like a lot of the relationships, actually all of the relationships, the good ones that I lost when I was drinking and using, have all come back. I was able to like mend friendships with the people that I just started silly arguments with, and it's just like it's been really like incredible to me, just feeling like I even like have a future to look forward to, or just like that I have possibilities, because I spent so long like running that just to kind of have this time to like become a human being and figure out how to like interact with other people and just figure out how to be sober on a daily basis has been like a huge blessing to me, and I really credit Dopey for that. And like in this year, it was really the best year to decide to get sober, because COVID happened, and then I've been able to deal with things that I didn't think I would be able to deal with. My best friend in the world got hit by a car and died in October, and I was able to deal with that. And this whole pandemic has hit, and I've been able to stay sober through that. And I'm just really looking forward to the future, and I'm just excited. And like none of this was a possibility at all before I went to treatment, and I didn't have insurance. I didn't have, like, my parents couldn't have helped me. So I feel really fortunate. And yeah, I like that I don't have to be fucked up today. So that's it. That's all my whole story.
And every time I take a look inside that old and fabled book, I'm blinded and reminded of the pain caused by some old man in the sky. But that marijuana and LSD, psilocybin and DMT, they all change the way I see. Love's the only thing that ever saved my life. So don't waste your mind on nursery rhymes, fairy tales, blood and wine. There's turtles all the way down the line. So to each their own, we go home, where the realms our souls must roam, to and through the myth that we all call space.